And let's see. We were at the point where we were deciding what we were going to put here, and see how pretty that looks with that one there. I think I'm going to put this big one. I like the big one. Now, one of the things I want to let you know is that one of the details I do is I try, like these flowers right here have this beautiful green fabric. I want the green fabric to be there, the green leaf. I want it to be able to be visible because I like a little bit of color. This is a very, very lavender ornament, which is what you guys liked about this one. But you can see how the green, showing the green all the way around, actually gives it a little bit of a contrast everywhere. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring out that bow that I put on there, and we're going to use this. You can choose which way you want to attach this, but I am going to show you how I've been doing it. Because I want it to lay a certain way, I just take this, it's a little small piece, and I just twist it, and it separates into two. And I think I'm going to kind of just put it right here at the bottom of the bow. Try to get it here at the bottom with some glue. It's really like not that big. You just don't want to make a large lump. That's why I'm not just folding it. Just stick it in there. And instead of this round bling, which I only had one left from a previous find, and this bling, you'll find that my blings are all previously fashioned jewelry. This one happened to be a type of an earring, I think. And so you can see that there's pieces there, but I'm using fashion jewelry because I can find it in my area. Look at that shine on that bling. So that's what you see there. Gorgeous bling. So you can see it. I'm just grabbing the end of the bow, pulling up behind it in there. I probably should have put the pearls down before I did the bow on top, but I was not thinking. So that's not what I have. Okay, so now this is hanging down this way. Now you have a choice. Do you want to leave it that way, or do you want to cut them? And you can decide how long you want them at the same time. Exact lengths are not important. So I'm going to leave it not cleaned up, but the last thing I did was I used these little things here. Can you see how gorgeous? And you're also learning a lot of just taking them apart, a lot of my little tricks for crafting. Okay, after I finish this one, I'm going to move on to the red bauble. And so these, I think you can get the gist of this. All I did was I decided where I was going to place them. If you can see, here's this hump, here's this hump. I placed it right there. You can place it as close or as far as you want. And it just was a little added thing. You can add something to the bottom if you wish, but I think it's gorgeous. Just that simple. That simple. And what I did is I put 5, so I think I skipped one. Skip that one, and then I put it right here. Done. All this bauble needs is a little bit of your loving kindness. Clean up all the strays. Go through, make sure all of your flowers are down nice and they're not going to pull up. That's what I usually do, because I glue them lightly, because then I can always move them while I'm designing. So now there you go. There's your gorgeous. Pull those chains down. If you wish, you can actually glue these chains down if it bothers you that they're always moving around, because they will be moving. You can cut them shorter or longer, whichever you like, whichever you please. So what I did when I was trying to decide which laces to use, I took my laces and I just laid them on there to see what's going to happen, just like I showed you on the other one. And I liked this look. See? That's the look I liked. But then I wanted there to be more. I wanted it to be a dangle, kind of like the pink one. So what I decided to do was to actually add a different lace that had a dangle, because I don't think this is as pretty as this. So for this one, as you can see, I took off that dangle lace and I attached it. So you can do something like that if you have the similar colors or even different colors, because if you're using two colors on something, like on the pink one, I used a creamish and some pink, and that kind of offset it. So for this dangle, which these are common dangles, so I'm not worried about you finding them. All I did was, of course, cut her off right at the circle. When I did this, I actually cut it right along here, right here, and then I glued the balls onto this, just the end. But I think I'm going to cut it this time here to give a little bit more space. If I don't like it, I can always cut it again, because I think I want to glue a little bit on top of this also, because I remember when I did it that it was a little troublesome gluing it. So here we go. Okay, I cut that off, see, and then I cut this other one. So actually I made my own dangle lace by taking two apart, and then I'm going to attach this here, if you can see that. Now when I attached this one, I didn't have this little bottom section here. I attached it, I'm looking, and I attached it on this right here. Let me show you, on this little part where it's almost like a little heart. And I remember I attached it, I just used attached half of the ball. So the ball is like an oval. I just put glue on half of it and just attached half. That's why I wanted this other one there, just to give it more support. So I'm just making sure all my dangles are there, because on the other one I got a piece of it that didn't have all the dangles. So you put a little glue on your, oh, that's too much glue. On the, I put it on the circle when I did it, and then I attached the circle. Creating with Detail said Shabby said she has some that's very similar to this one. But really, do you have dangle lace in your stash? Use yours. And I'm going to show you some more techniques on how to choose which one to use also, what to think about when you're choosing it and when you're preparing it to use, because that we're going to do some I'm going to give you some tips in a bit. But this is how I prepared my lace, because I didn't have this is just stuff I have, and that's what I usually do. I'm a very, very frugal crafter, and I try to make things go a long way. When I'm placing something like this, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around so you can see. I test it. This one I cut it the same length as I did the other one. I test it and I look at it. I say, okay, what needs to happen here? What's going to happen is, how is it going to lay? And look at this one. This one actually was one of the reasons I chose it, because it was laying very, very beautifully all the way around. Now that I made that change, remember that change I made? I left that little piece on. I'm going to look, see if I like how that looks. And then guess what I did here is I grabbed all of these and I tied them at the bottom. And to tell you the truth, when I did that and I left that piece on, I think it looks doesn't look very good, so I'm going to go and cut those off now. So this is the reason I'm showing you this, is because you can change your mind. And one of the things that made me be able to change my mind is because I did not overdo the glue. So it made it easier for me to be able to cut this off. And I definitely will keep this piece, and I'm going to be using it for something else. But as you can see, there, now I'm satisfied. That looks prettier. I did make, so you can make wrong choices, and I did. Okay, one of the things I did also is that I also looked to see what's going to make this lace lie a bit flatter. And I think that if you trim just the sections here off, it will help a lot for you to do most of your trimming before then when you actually have it on. So as you can see here, this will give this the ability of when it's placed here, instead of just lying just straight up, to be able to lie, if it wants to, closer together. See how it can get closer together now, where over here it's a certain distance, a little harder. You can do that, or farther apart if it's tight. So I like to decide that before, but I have decided it after the fact also. So go to every single one on this particular lace. I'm going to cut it off like I did the other one, and just gives you more maneuverability when you're attaching it to your piece. Now, I'm sure that all of you have some type of lace that's very similar to this one. You use what you have. What I notice here is that when you're attaching this, look how it fits perfectly. And if I pull it too tight, it won't fit perfectly. If I put it too low, it'll overlap more. So I'm actually making a decision on how high or how low I put this, depend on how it fits on here. So since this is supposed to be here, I can pull just a little tight and we'll end up a little bit off. Okay, I want to show you my rubber band method for attaching, kind of finding the center point of this ball. Now, it's my method. I have no idea what method other people use. I watched a few and I don't recall anyone ever doing it. But what I'm doing is, if you have your measuring tape, is I like to find I put it around, and then I decided that I was going to make it match up to about the 2-inch mark. And then I just move my rubber band around so that it all the way around. I touch the rubber band with this. I hold it down and I check if it's 2 inches down. And I kind of do that all the way around the ball. And see that? So I did that all the way around, because sometimes it's hard to see with your eye. Okay, next you can, if you wish, get a pen where you can mark your fabric around and you'll have your measurement. And this is the kind that actually disappears after a while. But this time I'm not going to do that because red's kind of hard to mark on, but I can probably use my white one, but I'm not. I'm going to show you a different method also, where you can actually just decide where you want your lace. And you see the rubber band right there? What I'm doing is that I decide where I want my lace, and make sure you don't move this rubber band anymore. Be very careful not to move it. And I decided that I'm going to have it peek right through. Let me show you with this. Right through one spot, particular spot, that little spot right there. I'm going to put it right on the top of the rubber band. That's what I decided. And then I'm going to stick my stick pin in the center of that flower. And I'm going to go around and do that all the way around. I'm going to put that rubber band right so I can see it. I can see that, but I'm not poking through the rubber band. I'm poking through the actual lace. So this was the method I came up with. I have no idea what other people do. And also realize you may have to do this more than once. Like, I know when I tested this that I don't really have to pull it tight to get this pattern to be uniform. So I'm not pulling it tight. But after I put a few, I still will test it. Go around and see how it looks. And look how close that is on this one. Now it's pretty close. I don't really think I need to stretch it. If I stretch it, I think it will cause some issues. So I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this end here with the pin. I'm going to go here. This is my method. What method other people use, I don't know. Like I said, I think I remember it was, is it Cynthia Luhu who has a beautiful Victorian tutorial she had made years ago? And that was the one I saw, but this method I came up with on my own. I started with the pink bauble because I was trying to find a way to use up my wedding dress appliques. And then I decided, and then now that I have dangle laces, I decided to try dangle laces. Okay, can you see that it's all on there? And now you can actually just pull the rubber band off. If this looks way crooked for you, then restart it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that you decide, you can glue the bottom here, pull this up and glue it. But I think I'm going to glue first here because that way it will go where I want it to be. I want that to, this I needed to pull just a little. I'm going to start with that one, then that way everything around will be good. So when you do something like this and it ends up not coming out even, then this is where you, on this side is where you decide to put something else to make it either your front or your back, or add ribbons hanging down, or add a special, you know, embellishment on it. But mine ended up even, and it looks good to me. And now as I'm going to lay these down, and I can see I like the way it's lying down beautifully. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom. Now, red velvet. This, when you get glue on it, it's not happy. So make sure that you're careful not to get too much glue on your red velvet. Just get enough. And so I'm just going to tilt it up. I think I'm going to do 2 at a time. What happens if I put too much glue on one, I kind of take some of that glue over to the second one. And then I just tilt it down. You can see how I'm gluing that down. And again, you can decide if you want to do every single one or every other one. I failed a few times, let me tell you. I probably should see if I run into any of my failures and show them to you, so you can see that I haven't. It just takes practice. It takes doing. It's not always like simple. So I'm hoping that I help you to think of just something small that will encourage you to try. Okay, so here we go. It's hanging down there, and now we can do this side. Now what I did for this side is I take it and see these areas. I'm going to put it closer. See these areas here that are a little wider? It has quite a bit of space to put it. Always leave a little place for you to grab. So I could still grab the tip. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling straight forward and stretching upward. And I hold it for a few seconds. See that? And then I actually like to do every other one. And then I come back